Now, we need help now. We took it up to the window and you see the Israeli soldier laughing and waving his hand, get out of my sight. And the person who actually went to show it was a member of the Knesset. Her name was, I can't remember her name. She was the one that went up. We wrote signs in English. We made announcements in English, in Hebrew, in Arabic. We tried everything for these soldiers to just show us a % of mercy, and they did not. We were trying to help the injured. I see the blood that was losing. They turned pale all of a sudden. They stopped speaking. The guy that got shot, his brains was falling out. You could see his brain. The guy had it in his hands. I was right behind him when he got shot, and I could see that. We all took our seats. The Israeli commandos put us under siege in the lower deck for 4 hours. The wounded were losing blood for 4 hours with no medical attention. All we had was a few minor things to try and stop the bleeding. We had adrenaline to put into the injured just to try and let them forget about their pains. One woman that was there, her husband got shot. We all sat down. After that, the Israeli commandos opened the door and they started screaming. They said, any sudden movement and we will shoot. So everyone just sat down. The lasers pointing at our hearts, our heads. The feeling that was going through us was not any feeling I've ever experienced in my life before. They said, who speaks Hebrew, who speaks English, who speaks Arabic? One guy stood up, went to the door. They had I don't know if it was a German Shepherd or what, but these dogs were trained to kill. They were not dogs. In the UK, you've got dogs that go to sniff drugs, to sniff weaponry. These dogs were trained to kill. As soon as the guy went up, the dog flew at him and took a chunk from his stomach. This guy right now is in London. If you don't believe me, I'll give you his number and phone him and he'll take a picture and he'll show you the big chunk that's missing from his stomach. We took him back, got medical attention, tried to stop the bleeding. Then they took the dog away. And then we had a member of Knesset, which she was sent as a blessing to us. If she was not there, they would have massacred much more people and women there. She was out because she's got immunity, they could not handcuff her, they could not do nothing to her. She was shouting at the soldiers. When we were tied up, she was the one that came and gave us water. Slowly they told us to leave. We would stand up, they asked us to put our hands behind our neck and walk towards the Israeli soldiers. As soon as we walked up, they would grab us from here, they'd pull us towards them, they'd headbutt us, they'd start punching us, they'd start elbowing us. They took me to my pants. They strip searched me to my pants. My friend was there, I was there, our feet were shaking. Because it was right beside, there was at least 5 guns pointed at us. If we made any sudden movement, that was it. We were over, we were history. They took us upstairs, they were throwing us about. They made us sit down on our knees with our hands tied up like this, with our heads bowed down for 12 hours. Now try this, just put your hands behind your back with your head bowed down, sitting down on your knees. Just try it for 5 minutes. We sat like that for hours with no water. If we made any sudden movement, my friend was to my left. A friend, someone you know for a long time, this guy I only met on the ship, and I would say he was a close friend of mine because of what we'd been through. He was bleeding with blood. I looked down to just say, are you okay? And I'd get a smack and a rifle in the back of my head. We were just sitting there for a long time, no pain. There was everyone around us. The women got treated the same way. You can hear the women crying, the women howling. The men were just sitting there with their heads, and we thought, I know the way the Israelis treat people. I've seen a documentary. They used to line them up on a wall and shoot them. That was the feeling that was going through my heart again. I thought that was it. I'm history. I was sitting there just trying to do my shahada, just trying to say, please God forgive me for the sins I have done. Just trying with my head down. I needed the toilet, and to ask the soldier, he'd be like, sorry about that. He'd be like, do it on yourself. You ask him for water, do it on yourself. We're grateful for Sarah Colburn from London, who's a friend of the mayor in London, and also the Haneen. They came around because they had our hands so tied, people were fainting. We were in the sun. This was during the day. It took us 12 hours from when they attacked us to reach Ashdod, this jail, the port that they were taking us in. The sun was beaming. They'd have a helicopter coming every 5 minutes just to torture us. They were trying every sort of technique to put us under torture, under stressful positions, just so we can never ever go back to help the Palestinian people ever again. The helicopter would come and it will go. It will come, it will go. We sat down, the sun beaming on our heads, with no water, with nothing at all. Then they picked us up. The people were so weak. I was so weak. We couldn't stand up. We tried to stand, we'd fall on our sides. They'd come and kick us. The injured were the same way. The injured, one person had a shot here and a shot in his thigh. They lifted him up and threw him. He couldn't put any pressure on his foot. And they expected him to sit down like that. If you even spoke, they would take you somewhere. I don't know. I was, to be honest, too frightened to even say a word. I sat down with my head held up, not saying a word, because I was scared that they would shoot me in the back, these cowards. Haneen and Sarah Colburn were going around shouting at the soldiers, because the women, no matter how old you were, they were treating you that way. Shouting at them to loosen the handcuffs. So they'd come and loosen it. One guy behind me, I can hear him screaming, I can't feel my thumbs, I can't feel my thumbs. The soldier came and even tightened the handcuffs more. Later on, when I went to see that guy, he lost the veins, the whole sense. He can't even move his thumbs like this. His veins and his thumbs burst. They picked us up, they took us down. One of the soldiers, because none of us could tolerate it, after sitting like that for 10 to 12 hours, we could not tolerate it anymore. So they undid our hands and they tied our hands like this now. The same strength. And they made us sit downstairs where the blood, as I said, was flowing everywhere. We reached Ashdod, they picked us up, and throughout this whole period on the boat, they were abusing us physically, mentally, kicking us. One of the guys was walking behind us laughing. I didn't find it laughing, but these soldiers were proud of killing unarmed, innocent civilians. They took us in Ashdod, they picked us up, they threw us. We went in, they searched us again. By this time it was at least 3-4 searches just to make sure we don't have a memory card hidden anywhere. So when they released us, we did not tell the world what happened to us in the middle of international water when no one cared about us. They took us in Ashdod, they made us sit down, they took a picture. I had luckily my passport. Some people's passports, they grabbed them and threw them in the water. My phone, they grabbed everything we had, they took and threw. But my passport, the soldier was like, look, there's your passport back in your pocket. They sat down, they put in front of me a sheet of paper and they said, sign it. I looked at it and it was all in Hebrew. I did not understand a single word. I pushed it back to the guy and I said, I don't understand what this is. He goes, okay. He grabbed another sheet and put it in front of me. Now this sheet read, I don't know exactly what it read, but what it basically said that we entered Israel illegally. Now our plans, we did not even want to go to Israel. We wanted to go Gaza. That was our point of destination. They're the ones that 78 miles in international water came and grabbed us, murdered us, attempted to murder us, tortured us, dragged us, and they say that we broke. That we came into Israel illegally. How dare they? they put that in front of us. The second sheet, I refused to sign, because before I went in, I was speaking to one of my good friends in London, and he goes to refuse to sign anything.